All right, welcome everybody. And wherever you are, good morning or afternoon. I hope you're safe and warm and not facing some of the terrible weather things that are going on. If you are, I still hope you're safe and warm. I'm Sandy Schussel, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects, which is confidence and how you can do things that you've lacked confidence in doing, but you can do them and be powerful and unstoppable once you understand a little bit more about what confidence is and how it works. Before we get started, just let me know that you can see me and hear me, because if you can't, we're not going to get very far. And I'm wondering, if I'm asking you if you can hear me or not, if you can hear me ask you that. All right, yes to both. I see that. That's good. I'm going to ask you to use the chat if you come up with any questions as we go along. There will be a question and answer session at the end, as there always is. I'm also going to ask you a couple of questions as we go to see where you are in all of this. Now, a lot of you are old friends. I see that you're here and we know each other. For those of you who don't know me, I've been coaching financial and insurance professionals for over 20 years. And most of the people that I work with are already successful to some extent, but they're still reaching for bigger goals. Maybe what's holding them back is that they know a certain amount about marketing and prospecting, but it's not working for them. They've plateaued, they've reached a place where everything they do seems to get them to the same place every year. Maybe there's a challenge in how they're closing their sales, which is really about asking great questions. A lot of people consult me about time management. A lot of people consult me about their teams. How do I get everybody doing what they're supposed to do? And how do I keep up with them? And how do I delegate? These are all things that I help people with. We talk about strategies to get you where you really want to go. Most people work with me about mindset. Today's program is really about mindset. What are you thinking that's keeping you from getting where you want to go? Sometimes I put on my consultant's hat, having done this for 20 something years and being licensed in all the same fields that you're licensed, and having been out on many, many appointments with advisors. There are things that I know how to do that some advisors don't know how to do, and I'm happy to share that. I've done programs on how you do webinars. I've done programs on how you communicate when you're communicating with someone on Zoom. So we can do skills sometimes. Energy and attitude is a big thing for people. It's how do you stay focused? And I can help them with that. And of course, all coaches work on accountability. It's really easy for me to decide not to do something I'm supposed to do. But when I have to check with my coach, I make sure that I did it, even if it's the night before. And so that's where I'm coming from. The biggest thing that I see people have trouble with is the mindset issue, though, and particularly around confidence. So we're going to be talking about confidence today. And the first thing that I really want to talk about is what it is. You know, most of us look at confidence as a feeling. It's the feeling that you can rely on your abilities in a given area, and that leads you to take action in that area. And whereas lack of confidence is the feeling that you can't rely on your abilities in a given area, leading to inaction in that area. And when we look at it as a feeling, there are certain ways that we act. But what I want you to consider as we go through this program is that it can also be looked at as a skill. Confidence can be looked at as a skill. And we're going to be talking about that as we go along today. So when you lack confidence, you do one of these things. You hesitate so that you're awkward, and maybe you don't do it. You pick up your phone to talk to someone, and then you don't actually hit the button to reach them. We hide from things. Maybe I lack confidence in networking. And so one of the things that I do is I don't network. And then I say, well, I don't network. We become hypercritical. I'm not very good at this, and it doesn't work in my market anyway. And so it's not going to work for me. Or we just plain become helpless. There was an article very recently in Inc. magazine, and they said these are the things that people do when they're lacking in confidence. They apologize for bothering people. They overcomplicate things. They overdo their proposals. They over-explain things. They're afraid of questions and objections and try to duck them. They don't stay on their path. They deviate from the path. They get distracted from it. They're afraid to pivot. When you need to change, they won't change. They believe the negative chatter that's going on in their heads. They won't ask for help. They won't invest in themselves. They won't delegate to people. They look for outward approval. Somebody tell me I'm doing a good job because I can't tell for myself. They accept clients who aren't a good fit and they shouldn't have accepted in the first place. They see your failures. They see their failures, but not their successes. And they procrastinate all the time. So these are the kinds of things that people do. And they all revolve around hesitating, hiding, being hypercritical, being helpless. So here's the question for you, and I would like you to answer in the chat. I'm going to give you a minute or two to answer in the chat. What is it that you're hesitating to do, that you're hiding from, that you're being hypercritical about doing, that you're feeling helpless about? No one's going to see it but me, and it really will help me design what we talk about here around you and around your challenges. Some people talk about phone reluctance or avoiding certain conversations, or they're very weak in product presentations, very uncomfortable and awkward. They avoid or stumble through public presentations. They hesitate around asking for business. They hesitate around making recommendations. They avoid networking. Tell me what yours are. We have procrastinators. We have people who are afraid to add assets under management in the overall feeling, in the overall work they do, making phone calls, networking calls, hesitating to hire my next assistant, working during COVID. These are all problems that people have. Not doing the phone calls I need to do with existing clients, set up reviews and so on, avoiding certain conversations, spending money on leads. Procrastinators, again, procrastination is one of the symptoms of lack of confidence. Afraid to get started before I know all the answers. There may be a positive part of that, hesitating for asking questions, hesitating to open up new conversations because I'm unclear about who I want to serve, hesitating to build skills, unable to start. Great, thank you for participating, because these are things that we can talk about as we go along. So when we look at confidence, one of the things that we want to try and figure out is why we lack confidence in a given area. Think about when you were a baby, when you were a toddler, you would get up and fall down and get up and fall down and get up and fall down. You'd try to speak, and the words that you said, nobody understood, and you'd get frustrated because they don't understand you because you're not really speaking English yet. The one thing that you didn't lack is confidence to try again. And we would just keep trying it as children until we were able to do it. And then as we got older and we got socialized, someone would tell you you're not good at something, or you tried something once or twice and it didn't work well. And so now we start having confidence issues about things in our lives based on what the world is telling us. And as we get older, we add to that the idea that if I try something and it goes badly, I'll be risking too much. Maybe it's going to cost me too much money or cost me too much time. And so we're stuck in that place where we can't act, or if we act awkwardly because we don't have confidence in that particular area. But there's a lot about confidence that's a myth, and I want to share some of the myths. One of the myths is that some people have natural confidence. The truth is, there is no natural confidence. Confidence is a skill that you build based on having success at doing the thing that you want to develop confidence in. Confidence or lack of it is a personality trait. I've heard this before. Confidence is not a personality trait. Confidence is something that you build, again, by your action or by your inaction. The lack of confidence comes from that. Another myth is that confidence is a fixed quantity. Either you have it or you don't, and that it applies to everything. Either I'm a person who lacks confidence and has low self-esteem, or I'm a person who has confidence in everything. It doesn't work that way. And probably the biggest myth about confidence that I can talk about is that you need to have confidence to take the action that you need to take. The reality is that confidence is a skill that you can develop. Now, you don't say, oh, today I'm going to build my confidence skills, but you pick something that you lack confidence in and you build confidence in that. So confidence is actually a skill that you can develop. It's also situational. I worked years ago with someone who was number 3 nationally in his company, and he stood up in front of an audience that was there to honor the top 10. And he said, you know I'm number 3, and here's what I did, and here's how I did it. But if only I wasn't afraid to ask for referrals, I'm sure I could be number 1. So even someone who's having great success in one place will be uncomfortable and lack confidence in another. It's situational. And finally, you can only have confidence after you take the action that you need to take and are successful. And this is the point that I definitely want to drive home to you. It's something that I talk about in my book, The High Diving Board, and I'm going to explain to you later how you can get a copy of The High Diving Board. Most people get confidence backwards. They're waiting until they're confident to do the things that are going to help them grow their business. But the fact is that confidence comes from doing it, whether you have confidence or not. If you do it enough times, you're going to develop confidence. And if you don't do it because you don't have confidence, you're not going to go anywhere. Now, in my book, The High Diving Board, I talk about this in terms of fear. You can't control your feelings, but you can control your actions. And one of the points in the book is that it's okay to be afraid. But if this is something you really want, if this is your dream, you just have to do it anyway. And here's how sometimes this doesn't change when you want it to change, and sometimes it changed too many times. Here's how I'd like to talk to you about confidence. The only way to build it is to do the thing you have no confidence in. So if we start on the bottom of this chart where the orange is, and you have no confidence to do something, you always have two decisions. You can try it, or you can say, I can't do this. I'm no good at it. I have no confidence in it, and not try it, or start and stop trying it. If you go to the green box on the bottom and you say, I am going to try it, one of two things are going to happen. Either it's going to work for you, you're going to succeed, and you can see the straight line of green that takes you up to confidence. You're going to be more confident about it. or you're going to fail, and then you have the choice again, the same two choices: try again or stop and don't go any further with it. And if you do try again, one of two things is going to happen. You're going to succeed and get further up the chain and get yourself towards confidence, or you're going to fail again when you're going to have the same two choices: try again or stop. And the unfortunate thing for most of us is that after one or two of these levels, we don't try again. We stop, and then we say, I'm no good at this. I can't do this. We hide from it. We don't go out and network. We don't go out and we pick up the phone and we hesitate to make the phone call. And maybe we do, and maybe we don't. And if we do, it's awkward, or we find excuses why we shouldn't do it. And maybe I'll do it tomorrow. This is probably not a good time. He's probably not home anyway. And we get hypercritical of ourselves. And all of that comes from the idea that we believe that if it's not comfortable and we are not confident in it, then we shouldn't do it. And you never build the confidence skill unless you're always trying. But here's the conundrum, I guess is a good word for it. If I don't have confidence in my ability to do something, and that's keeping me from doing it, how can I possibly do it anyway? And that's what I want to talk about. There are 10 things that actually there are hundreds of them, but I've picked 10 things that I think I can help you with so that you develop enough confidence to at least take the chance. So this is all about, you don't need confidence to act, but if you're not acting because you lack confidence, let's at least do some things that build confidence. And a couple of you actually saw what you need to do. And one of the questions I would ask you, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to set up a time to talk with me, is that you're not doing the things that you know you need to do to build your confidence. Let's talk about them, and let's talk about 10 of them anyway, and see where we go with this. Now, I'm not going to ask you to scribble this down because I'm going to go through them one by one, and let's just start it. So the first thing is, you may lack confidence in presenting a particular product. You may lack confidence in how you run a Zoom meeting. You may lack confidence in how to ask for referrals. You may lack confidence in any number of things. And keep in mind, you may be very confident about closing a sale, but very lacking in confidence when it comes to making new connections. And so the first thing is, learn what you need to know, so that that can't be the reason that you don't have confidence. I mean, we're in a situation where you could Google anything. You can find a mentor that'll teach you anything. You can work with a coach. There's a million ways you can get the knowledge that you need. And there's an old saying that knowledge is power. I like to say, no, it's not. Applied knowledge is power. And if your lack of confidence is because you don't know how to do something, study it and apply it. And what happens is, now I might be willing to try to make that presentation that was going to be awkward and that I lacked confidence in, because I actually know more. So if one of your issues is you don't know enough about something that you really want to know about for your business, fix that. It's an easy fix. The second one, practice, practice, practice. There's an old stale joke about the tourist who comes to New York and sees a musician walking along the streets. And he says, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? And the guy says, practice, practice, practice. Well, we're in a profession where I'm always surprised. You pick any other profession, doctors practice before they do their surgery. Any sport, you practice. But we have advisors who are awkward and uncomfortable and don't practice their presentations, don't practice their webinars. And the more you practice and role play and do the things that will make it much easier for you when the time comes for you to actually make a client presentation or make a phone call or present on a webinar or at a seminar when we get those back. The more you do those things, the more confidence you have. Now, you're not going to be really confident until you've done it a few times, but if you don't even have the confidence to approach it, and you want to build that confidence skill, the second thing on the list is practice, 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 so that it's just easier when it comes out. You don't know of any performer. There are performers who literally tell you that they threw up before they got on stage, but they get on stage, and because they've practiced, they're just able to get out a great presentation. You can do that too if you practice. So this one I particularly like. We spend a lot of time looking at that big ladder we have to climb. And instead of taking small baby steps to get there, we try to just do it all. And that just doesn't work. So the advice here to help you build your confidence is do it, but do it one small step at a time. And let me give you some examples. Years ago, I was working with a client, and we were talking about getting him to higher net worth people in his rural environment. And he happened to disclose to me that he had a list that he called his whale list. And I said, "What's that?" He said, "Well, these are 50 people that I've identified that have the most money in the town, in the county, and I'm just terrified to call them. I have no confidence in my ability to help them. I'm terrified to call them because they remember me when I was a kid, and I was always in trouble, and I don't want, like, as soon as I say my name, I think they're going to get worried." And I said, "Well, I'm not going to ask you to call all 50 of them, but would you be willing to call one of them?" And he said, "Well, yeah, I guess so. I'll call one of them." And I said, "Okay, do it right now. Call me back." And I hung up on him. And he called me back about 5 minutes later, and he told me who he called. And I said, "What happened?" He said, "Well, I got an appointment with him." And he said, is it always that easy?" And I said, "No, most of them are going to say no to you, but you can do this if you do it one at a time." And we made an agreement that over the next 50 weeks, he would call one of them every week. And most of them said no to him, but he got a lot of new business with higher net worth clients simply because he was calling one a week. And so by the seventh or the eighth, he was willing to call two or three a week, and so on. And that's how he built his business. So it's just a simple thing of taking little steps, one call, not 50. You don't have to make 100 phone calls. You just have to make one. And once you make the one, you can make another one. You can bring it down to that level and have great success in building your confidence in doing things that you need to do. Here's another example. I have a program on referrals that's called the Referral Mastery Webinar Series. And in that program, step 2 is to have a conversation with your existing client about your relationship with that client. Am I doing okay for you? What am I doing well? What am I not doing well? And obviously, if they say, "Well, you don't call me enough," or whatever, you're not going to go to the step about asking for referrals. But the next step, after they've said out loud how great you are, and they heard it and you heard it, the next step is to say, "I'll bet you know a lot of people that don't feel that way about their financial situation," and then start talking about people. Now, everyone that works this program has no problem doing step 2, but a lot of people, because of the way they were trained and because of the way they're viewing referrals, have trouble getting to step 3, which is to actually have a conversation about someone they know that might need the help. And what I tell them to do is just keep doing step 2 for a month, for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, until you're comfortable enough to go to the next step. So you're going to do it. You're going to do it in baby steps. You're going to start with one step. You're going to set small attainable goals. You just have little boxes to check off daily or weekly. James Clear wrote a book called Atomic Habits, and he talks about this in the context of habits, but it's the same thing here. Don't try to change everything. Don't try to call everyone. Don't try every time to go from step 2 to step 3, but do it in small increments. And you're going to find that you do have enough confidence to make that small step. And then when you look back, as in the picture here, you're way up the ladder with your small steps. So that's another way to break this chain of not having confidence. Rather than sit there and say, oh, I'm no good at that, I can't do that, I'm not comfortable with that, take a small step towards it. I worked with an advisor once who declared that he didn't really want to be an advisor, that what he really wanted to be was a sportscaster. And I said, well, why don't you go be a sportscaster? He said, oh, I don't know. I wouldn't even know the first thing to do. And so I made him send away for the brochures for a company that taught people how to be sportscasters. And don't enroll, don't sign up, take the first step and just get the materials. So if you look at the thing that you're not able to start, what you need to do is just take one small step, no big commitment. I'm not going all the way with this, but I'm taking a small step towards getting the thing that I want. Number 4, give yourself permission to fail. The samurai had a saying that was die before you go into battle. Because if you're already dead, you're not going to worry about getting killed when you go into battle. None of us have to face that. But if you already decide that it's okay for you to mess something up really badly, I mean, that's how I started webinars. You decide it's okay for you to mess it up. Sometimes you can't change the slide, whatever. And you can get better at it if you keep doing it. But decide that you are going to fail, decide that it's going to be a disaster, that nobody's going to show up to your seminar or your webinar, that people are going to hang up on you. And then when they do, hey, no big surprise. Give yourself permission to fail, and that might help you move the needle towards confidence. Some of you may know the TV host Mel Robbins. Mel Robbins wrote a book called The 5-Second Rule. It's something she discovered while she was pondering this idea of, how do you gain confidence? And it was really a simple concept. If you are hesitating to do something that you know you need to do for your business, you do a countdown to a blast off. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, do it. And amazingly enough, if you try this, you're going to find out that it actually can work. And here's the concept. You start with the idea that there's a trigger event. I'm about to pick up my phone. I've got the number in there. I'm about to hit the button to call them. And now I'm hesitating and I'm overthinking and I'm thinking maybe I can't do this and maybe they won't be home and maybe they'll hang up on me or maybe they'll be looking at their screen and see that it's somebody they don't know or whatever. And the result is paralysis. And so using this technique, when you hit that moment where you're not pushing the button, you count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and push the button and you're in action. So when you're on the edge of this lack of confidence and you can't move, count down and hit the button. Now, maybe for you, it's you got to start at 20, but whatever it is, decide that, yes, I need to do this. I want to do this. I'm hesitating and overthinking. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm doing it. So, oops, how do we get there? Positive self-talk. I know this sounds crazy. Like one of the things I always think of is when Bruce Willis is playing John McClane in Die Hard. And he's up on the roof or up in the room upstairs, and he's talking about, oh, look, John, you got yourself into another mess. How did you do this, John? And blah, blah, blah. And I always think of self-talk. We talk to ourselves all day, and I'm really bad at this, and I have a coach that calls me out on it because I'll drop something or my hand will slip on something, and I'll call myself an idiot, or I'll just say, how stupid was that? And we're really good at the negative self-talk. What you need to do is take the approach, instead of saying, I'm not good at this, say something like, up until today, I haven't been very good at this, but from now on, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to become good at it. Turn that negative into a positive. I sometimes do an experiment with people at a workshop where I give them this text on the screen, and I say to them, turn this text into a sentence. So everybody looks at it, CONFID, and they figure out what it is. And the people who generally do negative self-talk define it this way. They put the lines in, confidence is nowhere. And the people who are better at positive self-talk and also have confidence in this area put it this way. So start thinking in terms of positive self-talk, and you're going to see that things can work for you really, really well. You're going to take the chance that you weren't taking before, positive self-talk. Now, here's one that sounds even crazier than that. And I say, stand tall and breathe deeply. Tony Robbins does a part of one of his programs is he has everybody stand up, and everybody stands up. He says, all right, now put the biggest smile on your face that you can possibly put on your face. And everybody puts on these big, stupid smile on their faces. It's the strangest looking thing when you look at it from up front of the room. And he says, okay, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to give you 15 seconds to think of some terrible thing that makes you very sad. But I want you to keep the smile on your face. You think of something sad, but keep the smile on your face, and raise your hand when you're able to think of something really sad while you still have that smile on your face. And so if there are 100 people in the audience, at the end of the 15 seconds, he says, all right, now look around. And there are only 3 or 4 people with their hands up. And what he's trying to show people is that while your feelings inside affect how you look outside, it also works the other way. So when it comes to confidence, if you are standing and breathing as if you are confident, then it's hard to lack confidence. Try it and see if it doesn't work for you. It really is a truth about human physiology that you will actually feel more confident just by dressing better, standing up, acting as if, and I used to hate in sales training when they did this act as if thing. This is different. This has just changed the exterior physical thing, and you're going to find that it's hard to lack confidence on the inside. This is one of my favorites, number 8, focus on helping others. We're about to do a Zoom conference and we're worried, well, how does my office look? And, what will they think of me? And I'm really uncomfortable. And I'm wondering, like, will I sound smart, or will they ask me a question I won't be able to answer? And I'm just not feeling very confident about it. But what we're not looking at is on the other side. They're looking around their room and saying, what's he going to think of us? And what's he going to think about the fact that we've saved so little? And what's he going to think about the fact that we have so little insurance? And what's he going to think? If you focus on making them feel better, you're going to forget your own lack of confidence in whatever it is that you're doing. if you're standing in front of a group or you're doing a webinar and your focus is on how you're appearing and that scares you, that makes you lacking in confidence, don't. I'm always looking for, is this getting through to you? How are we doing? And with that, I want to ask you to put in the chat, is this helping you? Are you getting anything out of it? Does something resonate with you here? Take a minute and let me know so I know that I don't have to focus on me. I'm properly focused on you. Don't be shy. Good. I'm getting a lot of, yes, it's helping me. Yes, this is great. Thank you. Good. That's because that's the feedback that you want. Now, notice if I was lacking in confidence, that's going to make me feel way more confident about this program. So focus on helping others, and you're going to see how this works for you. You're going to see that it does work to help you break that lack of confidence thing and be in action. And remember, the definition is if I can have a thought and I can turn it into action, even if I'm not that confident about it, that's the way I'm going to build the confidence skill. So number 9 is be on a mission. You look at this picture, this woman is on a mission. She wants to get to the top of that cliff, and she's willing to put herself out there to do that. Here's what I've learned over time, and I've said this at other workshops, so if you've heard it before, forgive me. If I look at top advisors, top of the table, top in their firm, one of the things that I see from them is they're on a mission to make something happen. They're on a mission to make $1 million this year, or a mission to grow 100+ person agency, or on a mission to get 100 new people insured. Whatever it is, whatever that mission is, not only are they on that mission, they're 100% committed to that mission. And I contrast that with people that I'll say, look, Sandy, I want to make $100,000 this year. And they say, well, great. Okay, what are you going to do to get there? And they'll say, well, I'm going to do this and this. I'm going to make more phone calls and I'm going to do this. And so I challenge them and say, okay, that all sounds very good, but it sounds like you're doing all the things that you're comfortable doing. Let me ask you this. Suppose I offered you a $50,000 bonus if instead of in 12 months, you did the same thing in 11 months. You hit the 100,000 mark in 11 months. And I'm using 100,000 just as a number. It's a much higher number. And they say, well, you'd offer me $50,000 more if I reached it in 11 months. You're on, man. I'm going to do it. And I said, well, great. Well, what are you going to do differently now that that extra $50,000 is on the table than you did before? Now they tell me all the things they're going to do that they lack confidence in. Why? Because now they see that this mission could have a big payoff at the end. And so then I kind of burst the bubble and say, well, why do you need the $50,000 to be at that level of commitment, to be on that mission? I used to believe that if an advisor wasn't where he wanted to be, even if he's successful, but he wasn't where he wanted to be, it was either because he didn't know what to do next, like the things he's been doing aren't working for him anymore. He didn't know what to do next, or he knew what to do, but he was afraid to do them. And most people seem to fall into that category. I know what to do, but I have no confidence in doing it. I'm not doing it. And by being coached, I picked up another concept to share with you, and that is they're not 100% committed to do it. Because if they were 100% committed to do it, they would Google everything they don't know, they would role play, they would practice, they would do all the other things that we're talking about. And even though they were afraid, they would go against that anyway, they would do it anyway. Because everybody's afraid to expand. Everybody's afraid to grow. Everybody lacks confidence in some of the things you need to do. If you figure out what your mission is, and by the way, if you want help figuring it out, That's something I do with people all the time. If you figure out what your mission is and you are 100% committed to that mission, then I can assure you that the things you lack confidence in just won't matter that much. And again, these are techniques to help you do the thing that you're lacking in confidence in without being fully confident in them. Number 10 is get help from positive people who believe in you. I've been fortunate most of my life that if I wanted to change careers or I wanted to invest in something to see if I could grow it and make it happen, um, my wife was always there for me and said, yeah, go ahead and you do it. And I did the same thing for her. But we can find mentors who believe in us. We can find other people that believe in us. We can find coaches. I don't take on a client unless I believe in that client. We can find people that will support you and be positive. Instead, here's what a lot of people do. I know that I'm not very good at talking about referrals, I don't have a good referral process. I'm very lacking in confidence there. And I go out of my way to find other advisors who are also lacking in confidence there. And I'm surrounded by people who have the same negative things that I do instead of surrounded by people who have the positive things that I do. And so that's number 10. Now, I do want to give you some tips and open the door to questions, but as long as we're at this point, let me talk about what I'm offering. I said that you could get a free copy of the high diving board. And I don't know why I'm using that to bribe people, because you shouldn't have to be bribed to want to have a conversation. If you make an appointment with me to help you boost your confidence in whatever area it isn't working, I'll give you a copy of that book. But what I want to promise you about the meeting is I am not going to try to sell you a coaching program. Obviously, if you want to talk about one, we'll talk about it. And it doesn't matter to me. I have people say to me, Sandy, well, I don't want to talk to you because I have no intention of hiring a coach, not you, not anybody. And so I don't want to waste your time. It is not a waste of my time to help people figure some things out for themselves. And it definitely won't be a waste of your time. So there's no sales, just help. And the way you can reach me is you can go right to my calendar, which is sandyschussel.com/conversation. Get the spelling right. For people who are afraid they're not going to get the spelling right, just email me, sandywillhelp@gmail.com, and I'll talk to you about dates or send you the link so that you can just click on the link there. Don't hesitate to do this. Many of you on this call can swear by the fact that I don't try to sell you anything. You've consulted me. You haven't become clients. Most people don't. I'm looking for the same match that you're looking for. If it's right for you and it makes sense, great. One of the problems in this business is that we've been taught, all I need to do is get my foot in the door and then I can close. Well, that's not going to happen when we talk. My foot may be in the door, but you decide whether the door stays open or the door closes. And with that, let me talk to you about some tips that I think will help you with your confidence. And the first tip is no one will believe in you unless you believe in you. And if you don't believe in you, please talk to me, because we'll find reasons why you should believe in yourself. Okay, that's the first one. The second one is don't compare, and this I got from one of my coaches, don't compare how you feel on the inside with how someone else looks on the outside, because it's a false comparison. They may feel worse than you on the inside, but they look great. So don't compare how you feel on the inside with how someone else looks on the outside. And keep in mind that even if someone seems amazingly successful, and this I know is a truth because I've worked with top performers, there's always something like the story I told you at the beginning about the number 3 guy who knew that he wasn't good at referrals. There's always something that they lack confidence in. The difference is they're working on developing that confidence skill, and they're working against hesitating, hiding, being hypercritical, being helpless, the things we talked about at the beginning. And finally, we are where we are because we thought ourselves there. We think that our feelings are controlling things, but our feelings really come from how we're thinking about things. And one of the things I like to help people with is to get them to think differently. Because if you think that things are going to be good, then you kind of feel that things will be good. And if you think they're going to be a disaster, then you feel that they're going to be a disaster, and that holds you back. So, with that, I'm going to ask you a favor. Even if you don't have a question, would you at least give me a comment? Hey, this works. This didn't work. I didn't like this. I did like this. Leave me a comment. Then you can go in peace. Remember, sandyschussel.com/conversation. That's gonna get you to my calendar, or just sandywillhelp@gmail.com. I have one guy said Sandy's a man of his word. I really appreciate that. I'm the only one who is seeing these though, so thank you for that. Um, Useful, good tips. Thanks. Very much enjoyed. Anybody with questions, throw them in now. This was helpful. I really appreciate your comments because it helps me know whether I should keep doing these programs or not. Really liked it. Got some good ideas that will help. Thanks. I'll be in touch. Great. Okay. I'm already booked with you. Thank you once again. Good stuff. I really appreciate these comments. It lets me know that I should keep doing what I'm doing. Great presentation. I appreciate that. Crystallize what I need is setting my mission. Great. That I love that because the mission is important. Excellent as always. Like I said, there's a lot of people on this call who've been with me. I like the 10 things, and someone's going to post them in front of herself and every day look at them. Great. I have a sign on my wall that says, it's a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt, and it says, do one thing every day that scares you. And I live by that. I try to do one thing every day that scares me because that's how you develop confidence. Do the thing that you lack confidence in. Good stuff. I noticed there aren't a lot of questions, and that's fine. I want you to go forth and put some of these into play, and let me help you by having a session to boost confidence in the area that you don't have confidence in. And with that, I will say thank you, and go out there and do what you have to do, even in the pandemic, even in the frozen weather. Use Zoom if you're not comfortable with Zoom. Let's have a conversation about it. And I thank you all for being here today.